Welcome to Shanmugam IAS Academy on editorial analysis of 18 December 2021. And today's editorial is a false conflation between duties and rights. Actually, last week on the Constitutional Day of we were celebrating the Constitution Day. So this became very important. We all know these fundamental rights and fundamental duties, which comes under the GS paper 2, the polity portion. And this is in the news because recently on the Constitutional Day, the ministers have spoken about the equality between the equal preferences between the fundamental rights and the fundamental duties. And what exactly is that we're going to study now. And we'll start with the topic today. The fundamental rights and fundamental duties, we all know that are the correlative and inseparable. And also we know that the original constitution of India contained only the fundamental rights and not the fundamental duties. This we all know. The fundamental duties of citizens were added on the constitution later in 1976 on the recommendations of Swaran Singh committee. This is important, the prelims point of view, but these type of questions are not coming. But it is important for you to start a question in the mains to this. This is important for prelims too. This is also important. Okay, on 1976 on the recommendations of Swaran Singh committee, fundamental duties were added in the constitution, and in 2002 one more fundamental duty was added. That is right to education. So no, right to education is a fundamental right, that is 21A. Here in the 2002 one more fundamental duty was added here, and although both the fundamental rights and the fundamental duties are inseparable, there are certain differences between them. What are the differences between them? What is the debate right now? We will study the recently the duties and rights debate is happening because on the Constitution Day, the last month has happened, many union ministers used the occasion to underline this proposal. And the debate has happened. The Minister of Law and Justice claimed that our country can be made great only if we create a balance between the fundamental rights and fundamental duties. This is what the Minister of Law and Justice has claimed, and the Minister of Culture took his thought for still today that Constitution Day, it's important that we should emphasize our fundamental duties for the growth and progress of the country. So this is what is said by the Minister of Culture. And the deeper roots, where are the deeper roots? That has to be established in a diverse and democratic country such as India. Citizens will have to converge, because the citizens will have to converge their inalienable fundamental rights with their fundamental duties. So what is that more is the link between the fundamental rights and duties, because according to him was not merely constitutional debate but a civilization discussion, whatever that might be. And but the duty here thereby do not mean that is the obligation that spring out of constitutional promises, but it is not the duty but a set of ideals that were written into the constitution during the Indira Gandhi imposed emergency. And the fundamental duties, as we all know, that is under part Article 51A describes them, ought to be treated on par with, if not superior to, the various fundamental rights that the Constitution guarantees. And what is this Constitutional Assembly deliberations on the rights and the duties? What are the deliberations as given by the Constitutional Assembly on the fundamental rights and the fundamental duties? The Constituent Assembly was clear in its belief that the Constitution's emphasis must be always rest on individual dignity. This is the important, the emphasis, the stress is on the rest on the individual dignity, the first point. The second one is the Constitution's chief purpose must to preserve and guarantee basic human rights to equality, to autonomy and to liberty among the others. This is what the purpose of the Constitution, that is to prevent the guarantee, the basic rights, human rights, and to equality and to autonomy and to liberty among the others. And to the framers, the very idea of deliberating over whether the rights ought to be provisional and on whether these rights ought to be made subject and whether these rights ought to be made subject to the performances some alien duty was repugnant to the republic's vision. And after all, the part 3 of the constitution, which are, that is the fundamental rights, are nestled, contains within it a set of limitations. And the constitution framers saw the placing of mandate on individual responsibilities as nothing more than a legislative prerogative. So the introduction of this article 51A, which has brought in, because in its original form the constitution did not enlist any obligation, the fundamental duties that are now contained in article 51A were introduced through the infamous 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, that is proposed by the Swaran Singh committee, which was set up during the emergency, and which recommended the insertion of the clause, and also suggested that a failure to comply with the duty ought to result in punishment. So finally, the adopted from article 51A that encourages the citizens to perform several duties, and among to cherish and follow the noble ideals that inspired the national struggle for the freedom. And what these fundamental duties, some of the fundamental duties we'll study here: to uphold and protect the sovereignty, to unity and the integrity of India, to defend the country and render national service, and when called upon to do so, the protect and improve the natural environment, and to safeguard public property. We need to study what are the articles comes under this. Everything I am discussing the fundamental duties here, so you need to see what are which article is saying these things. Example, the natural environment and to safeguard public property. However, experts argued that rights and duties go hand in hand. So both are very important, but in Mahatma Gandhi's Hindu Swaraj observed that real rights are the results of performance of the duty. So rights and duties are closely related and cannot be separated from one another. So this is what the main thing, what we are conveying. And the state protects and enforce rights and is duty of all the citizens, and which are citizens to be loyal to the state. And one more thing very important here is the power should not use it to exploit those from where they wield it. That is, it's only after the guarantee to all the full sum of humanity, dignity, equality and freedom, which is promised by the constitution, that we can ask of them to do their duty. And that is, after ensuring this humanity, dignity, equality and freedom for all as promised by the constitution, the burden of following the duties should be imposed on the citizens. Because this is also, we have already told that in the constitution the fundamental rights and the duties both goes hand in hand, both are very important, and that the burden of the following these duties should be imposed on the citizens. And by concluding this, we can say that the social revolution that the constitution was meant to herald was underpinned by the belief that it is only a guarantee of rights, unimpeded duty, that could help and usher or improve India into a free and egalitarian future. This is how we are concluding this topic. So here what we have studied about the fundamental rights and the fundamental duties, and we need to know which parts under these fundamental rights and duties are coming, and which articles, and when these fundamental rights came into the constitution, and what are the importance of the fundamental duties and fundamental rights, and which articles are important in the fundamental duties. Everything is important, and some of the articles which says that is some of the example: to uphold the protect and sovereignty of the unity and integrity of India, and to protect the national environment, improve the national environment, and to safeguard the public property. Some of the fundamental rights which are very important. So we need to know what are the articles that are related to. And if a question is asked between the fundamental rights and duties, a debate question, so we can form a answer in this format for your mains writing. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any doubts and queries, just tell us in the comment section. Thank you so much.